The scene opens with the grandeur of a packed auditorium, buzzing with excitement. Flags wave proudly in the background, their colors bright and vibrant under the harsh lights. The audience is filled with dignitaries, military veterans, and their families, all gathered for a special ceremony. The air is thick with anticipation, unity, and respect for those who have served their country. As the crowd erupts into applause, a sense of pride fills the room. Trump steps onto the stage, his expression firm but respectful. He looks out at the sea of faces, each one filled with admiration for the men and women in uniform. There's a moment of silence as the applause dies down, giving way to an intense focus on the moment ahead. Trump approaches the podium, his hand resting on the microphone. "It is a day meant to honor those who gave everything for this country," Trump begins, his voice deep, rich with emotion. "A day to recognize the sacrifice, the courage, and the resilience that makes our nation great." There's a palpable sense of pride in the room. Everyone feels it. The deep reverence for the soldiers and their families, the ones who faced unimaginable challenges. They've fought not for recognition, but for something much bigger than themselves. The ceremony is a way to thank them, to show the nation's gratitude. Camera pans across the audience, capturing their faces, some smiling, some deeply moved, others with tears in their eyes. The moment is perfect. The air is charged with reverence. The room is alive with energy, but it's the kind of energy that comes from shared respect, not from celebration. The camera then shifts to a young soldier standing off to the side of the stage. His uniform is crisp, his face stoic. But there's something off, something the crowd doesn't immediately notice. While the audience continues to cheer, the soldier seems uneasy. He shifts slightly, his hands gripping the edge of his uniform. His posture falters for just a moment, but he corrects it quickly, a subtle but telling sign of discomfort. His face is a mask of discipline, but there's a vulnerability in his eyes. His breaths are shallow, his chest rising and falling rapidly. His body trembles ever so slightly, just enough for anyone paying attention to see something's wrong. The ceremony continues, the speeches go on, and the applause echoes in the hall. But for the soldier, each passing second feels heavier. The weight of the uniform, of the moment, of all the eyes watching him, it's too much. He forces himself to stand tall, pushing through the discomfort, determined not to show weakness. Trump speaking at the podium. Trump's voice carries across the room, echoing off the walls. "We honor these heroes today," he says, his words powerful, stirring the crowd. The courage it takes to serve, to protect, and to sacrifice for the freedom of others, it is beyond measure. But even as his words resonate, something seems to be shifting. The soldier's body trembles again, his knees slightly buckling. The smile on his face is a little too tight, his gaze far too focused on the crowd. The applause, the ceremony, everything feels blurry for him. He's struggling to hold on, to maintain his composure. Soldier hands now shaking slightly as he reaches for the podium, the only support left to him. Trump continuing his speech. "Today we stand united, together, recognizing the men and women who make this nation what it is." The words hang in the air, full of pride and hope, but as Trump speaks, something shifts in the room. There's an uneasy tension in the air that no one quite understands. The applause grows quieter. People are noticing now. The soldier is no longer standing strong. Soldier as his body falters, his face going pale, and then, in a split second, it happens. The soldier's legs give way beneath him. The room goes silent. His body crumbles to the ground. Audience shock and horror in their eyes. Gasps echo throughout the auditorium. Some scream, some freeze in place, unable to process what they're seeing. The soldier's fall is slow, almost graceful, but it's the fall of someone who has given everything. And now, in the blink of an eye, has nothing left to give. Trump, standing at the podium, freezes for a moment. Trump's face changes. His eyes widen. His body stiffens. In an instant, the leader at the podium is no longer delivering a speech. He's no longer speaking of bravery and sacrifice. He's facing it, staring into the very heart of it. A man, a soldier, a hero, falling before him. Without hesitation, Trump steps away from the podium. He moves swiftly, decisively, as if everything in the room depends on this moment. His voice rings out sharply, "Get the medics here. Now, the soldiers move quickly, lifting the fallen soldier from the ground. The crowd watches in stunned silence as the soldier is carried off stage. No one knows what to do. The energy has completely shifted. What was once a celebration of heroism is now a scene of concern, fear, and confusion. Trump, who kneels beside the soldier, speaking to him quietly. "Stay with us, son," Trump says, his voice full of emotion, his tone more human than presidential. "You're going to be okay." The moment is raw, vulnerable. The room, once filled with the sound of applause, is now filled with a haunting silence. People watch in disbelief, some crying, others holding their breath. The weight of the moment is undeniable. The camera pulls back from the stage, and the room becomes eerily quiet. The audience, still in disbelief, watches as the soldier, once strong and proud, now lies motionless on the floor. The energy in the room has shifted, no longer filled with the excitement of the ceremony, but rather with a palpable sense of worry. As the soldier is taken off stage, the silence grows. The air feels thick, as though everyone in the room is holding their breath, unsure of what to do next. A moment that was meant to be filled with celebration has now become one of fear, concern, and uncertainty. But in the middle of all this chaos, one person remains calm: Donald Trump. Trump's face, his expression changing from leader to protector. He doesn't wait for someone else to take control, he steps up immediately. His voice rings out, firm and commanding, "Get the medics here now." The room, once charged with energy, now watches in stunned silence as the medics work quickly. The urgency in the air is palpable, but through it all, Trump stands still, his eyes locked on the soldier. There's no panic in his demeanor, only focus. His movements are swift, his commands clear. He's taking charge, not as a politician, but as a human being, as a leader in this moment of crisis. Audience watching, many wiping away tears. The camera pans across the crowd, capturing the raw emotion of the moment. People's faces reflect fear and worry. Some clutch their loved ones for support, while others stand frozen, unable to look away. It's a moment no one will forget, a powerful reminder that the sacrifices made by soldiers extend beyond the battlefield. The soldier is quickly whisked away, but the room remains paralyzed in the wake of what just happened. It's as if time itself has slowed down, leaving everyone in the auditorium suspended in a sea of uncertainty. Trump stands for a moment, still processing what occurred. The usual energy in the room, which had been so vibrant moments before, has now been replaced by a somber mood. There are no cheers, no applause, only the quiet hum of anxious whispers. Trump walks back to the podium, his face serious but calm. He adjusts his tie, takes a steadying breath, and faces the audience. There's no attempt to rush through this moment, no desperate need to return to the speech he had prepared. Instead, he pauses, allowing the gravity of what just happened to settle in. "Ladies and gentlemen," Trump begins, his voice now carrying the weight of the moment. "Today we were reminded of the real cost of freedom, not in the medals or the ceremonies, but in the sacrifices of those who serve. This soldier, like so many others, gave everything for this country. And we will stand by him as he recovers, just as we stand by every soldier who defends us every day." The audience, their expressions are thoughtful, are reflective. His words are simple but powerful, grounded in the reality of what just transpired. There's no grand rhetoric, only a sincere promise of support for those who have given so much. As the event continues, Trump remains committed to ensuring the soldiers' well-being. He doesn't let the incident fade away. Behind the scenes, he's in constant contact with the soldiers' family, keeping them updated on his condition. It's a moment of quiet leadership, far from the spotlight, but one that speaks volumes. Trump, in a private moment, speaks with the soldiers' family. Trump's demeanor is calm and reassuring. His words are filled with empathy, telling the soldiers' family that their loved one is in good hands, that they're not alone. This is not for the cameras. It's not a political move. It's a genuine display of care. A military leader reflects on Trump's actions. Leadership isn't about how you look when things are going right. It's about how you respond when things go wrong. Trump didn't wait for Trump visiting the soldier in the hospital. In the days that follow, Trump personally visits the soldier in the hospital. He takes the time to speak with the soldier's family, offering words of encouragement. It's a moment of personal connection, one that speaks to the authenticity of his leadership. Trump doesn't make speeches here. He doesn't make promises. He simply shows up, and in that act, he reinforces the message that leadership is about being there when it matters most. The soldier recovering in his hospital bed, surrounded by family. The soldier is now sitting up in bed, a faint smile on his face. His family is with him, offering words of comfort. They know that their loved one is in good hands, because in the face of adversity, the right leader always steps forward. The ceremony might have started with the usual pomp and circumstance, but it ended with something far more powerful. A moment that showed the true cost of freedom and the kind of leadership that is needed to carry a nation through its most difficult times. Trump's actions, in that critical moment, revealed the strength of his character and his commitment to those who serve. Leadership, Trump reflects, isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up when it counts. And that's exactly what I'll always do.